Hello, happy Fridays, and more importantly, happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we got two massive topics to get into. Now, one of them is, of course, well, you saw by the title that GSC Game World had to come out and confirm or reconfirm that a PlayStation 5 version is nowhere in the cards anytime soon. So I saw some people in the chat earlier like, hey, boom, but we kind of knew about this. Yes, we did. But there have been some running rumors ever since the big IGN interview from the PlayStation community, wondering when and if, hoping, potentially praying to the gaming gods that a version of this game would, eventually or possibly release on the PS5? The answer is, well, that's not happening anytime soon. It is slated for the foreseeable future to release and have been released only on the Xbox Series X and S and PC. Again, if you are a PlayStation gamer, it seems like they've been waiting around quite a bit for games from Xbox to drop onto their console because unfortunately Sony has not been delivering when it comes to their own first party. And I get that. But you know what? Listen, there is going to be an explosion of games coming to PlayStation via Xbox next year. We're going to get into that second half of the show because my man, Dirt Griggity, did a show yesterday, which I thought was brilliant. And I got to give the guy credit. Like, first of all, his engagement skills with the community while he podcasts by himself is legendary. It's as good as Mav. Like these guys, when Mav does his his Mav casts and he's out there and he's in front of he's hanging out, crooked on the chair because that chair is about to go. Get a new chair, Mav. I don't want to see you break your ass live on the air. They both have these skills to be in front of the mic, be in front of the camera, do their thing and interact with the community. And they're just really good at it. Well, I watched Dirt's show this morning, as I normally do when I'm cleaning or doing like errands and stuff. And he had a particular topic that I thought was not only brilliant, but it is really a bit of a thinking man's topic about what Xbox is doing confirmed and what they could be doing with first party releases in 2025. The list is staggering. So I really want to kind of get into what 2025 is going to be, why Xbox gamers should be excited, but more importantly, if you are an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, well, I can tell you right now, you have already won. But again, two topics. It's just me and Fuzzy today. Korkenstein, unfortunately, is feeling a bit under the weather, and Silent Cypher, who is usually here on his every other week rotation, is away with family. And of course, obviously, it's the holiday, so we should get him back here in a couple of weeks. But hey, Fuzzy, what's going on, dude? How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you. Man, just been enjoying a lot of Stalker 2, and it's a shame the PS guys don't have those $5,000 rigs to play the game on PC Game Pass. But all in all, great to be here. Some awesome stuff to talk about today. But man, great holidays.
Yes.
Hope everybody got everything they wanted from Santa under the tree. And let's look forward to this 2025, this flood of games from Xbox Studios and their other publishers as far as Bethesda and Activision. It's going to be a busy year for gaming.
Yeah, indeed it is. It's like I haven't actually. I've turned on the console. I think I might have gotten like 2 or 3, maybe 4 matches in Call of Duty. I have not been back to Indiana Jones since I beat it because it's just a holiday. It's just been it's been a lot, folks. Trying to produce the content while still trying to celebrate with family. Listen, I love it. I love it. I put out a couple of videos. The last 3 videos that I did, and again, they're not like traditional. I'm in front of a microphone doing my own thing. They're podcasts. Oh, wait a second. That's right. Hold the horses. Hargeet Chani is here. Hargeet, I forgot to link. I'm such an old man. First of all, you happen to arrive at a great time because you are a slanderous podcast when you want to be. And this is what we love about you. So the two topics that we're going to get into is obviously you saw it and you're not on the socials, which is good for you and your mental health. But there's been some rumors, there's been some conversation that Stalker 2 was potentially in development for the PlayStation 5. Well, that got shut down rather quickly by GSC, which was really good to see because they're like, listen, we got some stuff that we got working on that's for what we already have out. They're supposedly, and we're going to get into it, they're going to be releasing some additional cut content that they cut from the game to get the game out. That's being released for the Xbox, for PC, and their focus for the foreseeable future is, of course, Xbox and PC. They have no plans to do a PlayStation 5 version. So that's again, PlayStation gamers, you can buy an Xbox or you can play on your $5,000 rigs that you told us that you had. And I'm holding your feet to the fire on that one. And also, Dirt Griggity, a great friend of this community, did an amazing show yesterday. It was, I believe the way it's pronounced is the One Man Dark Man podcast. And he talked about specifically some information that came out from Tom Warren regarding Gears of War E-Day. Now, that was from June, but it's relevant and more importantly, prevalent to the conversation that we're about to have. But 2025 looks to be absolutely insane for Xbox. And when you look, and this is not console warring, let's just take the two. If you're Xbox and you're looking over at PlayStation, I'm not going to front. You got to smirk a little bit because right now all they have are 2 games on slate. Now, could they have a surprise or 2 in there? Possibly. And listen, we'll see. Both games have to come out, and same thing with Xbox. They have to release these games for it to be a bloodbath. But how you feeling, Harkeet? Welcome back.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas. We kind of missed our normal primetime gaming. But yeah, it was fun over here. We had a lot of gifts for the little one.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear
playing some games.
Yes.
So,
I didn't play any games. I didn't play any games. I just haven't had the time, brother. I wish I did. I know that you moved to a new position this year, so you weren't off the entire December.
I just finally got on my vacation. I started to finish some games up and just finished another one today. And we've been doing a little bit of watching on the new TV, right? The new 110-inch.
Oh, gee whiz! Now, which 110 is that? Do you a Samsung, LG?
It's a Hisense. It's a Hisense 110 UX. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's money right there, brother. Good for you.
Those two have been coming up. TCL and Hisense. They started as usual, right? Like startups, in the new world. This is all Chinese manufacturers and they start learning and getting better and better. And the Hisense,
people forget that. I'm glad you bring that up because people forget that's what Samsung was. Samsung wasn't what they were today. Like they are tip of.
It was the Sony world, right? It was the Sony TVs were the top dogs, and Sony's nowhere to be found now. If you look at the market share, they're like, they have some, but it's not a lot. It's
what
Samsung,
used to
LG,
be like tip of spear
Hisense,
for TVs is Toshiba. If you remember, Toshiba was
Toshiba, the Panasonic, right? All these companies, right? There was the time when we invented it in the US and we had our companies like RCA. Well, that's all gone. But
well, listen, I'm happy to have you here, brother. This is a great surprise. Glad to have you here again, folks. If you're gonna criticize the driving on the screen, you have to understand what I'm doing. I'm trying to find those blasted signs. So you're going to see me do a lot of flippy flips. You're going to see me do a lot of rewinding. That is not how I drive my current car or how I drove a police car. P.S. By the way, I had one accident in 21 years and I was hit by a lady who made an illegal left-hand turn. So I never crashed into anybody, God damn it. I just want that to be clear. But let's get into why everyone is here. We got 280 people here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is great. Again, not a lot of people doing content. I'm retired. Mrs. Boom, unfortunately, is in a new spot, so she didn't have a vacation, kind of like Hargeet, to take off. So she had to work the day after Christmas and, of course, today. So, while she's working, the house is already taken care of. I figured, you know what, let me just do a couple of shows, and there's news to talk about, folks, which is great. But let's get into the opening salvo. Now, I again, when I was, saying hello to everybody, I noticed there were some people in the chat that were like, "Hey, Boom, this is kind of old news about GSC Game World confirming that there's no PlayStation 5 version." And of course, yes, I did know that, but there was a story on IGN where they had did this interview with a few of the bigs over at GSC Game World. And the story, and again, this is an IGN story, so I want to give credit where credit is due. It was written by Wesley Yin Poole. It was updated on December 23rd, 2024 at 9:05 a.m. And the title is Following Stalker 2's Success, Developer GSC Game World contends with this new reality. And now it goes on to say a couple of quotes, and I'm going to try and read their names. I hope that I get it right. They interviewed quite a few people from the Stalker team. Basically, they were discussing the impact of the game. And obviously, it's a success, folks. It's shocked a lot of people. It has become now profitable for the company, which is a big deal. They have sold over 1 million copies, which again, 1 million copies is not a lot of copies considering that it's only on 2 platforms. But based on their admission, it has become profitable. So every copy that they sell, they are making money on the on that title. So, which is a big deal for this small developer who obviously was displaced after, and what continues to be, the world is still watching what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. And it's, we've talked about this before. They lost developers to in the line of duty deaths defending their country. They had all of them, including their families, had to be uplifted to Prague, and to be moved and still figure out a way to finish a game after being invaded by another country. That's bonkers. So during this interview, and again, let me see if I can get the names correctly here. The article goes on to say, discussing the impact of Stalker 2's release in English, which is obviously not their first language. Levgin and Maria, who of course are married. It's Levgin. I apologize if I destroy the name. Guy Grovovich. It looks like there's Maria and Levgin. They're a couple. They were in London to at the BAFTAs to discuss some of the things that the ongoings with Stalker 2. And some of the quotes that come from them are pretty incredible. They go on to say, you need to think properly because we now have a really big audience, and sometimes different parts of this audience wants to see different things. So we think now we need to live now with this new reality, with a live community and talking with them and trying to understand them maybe deeper, because we really want to make our relationship good. Around 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years now, we had a plan of what we were going to do in the nearest 10 to 15 years, what projects we wanted to do, how we were going to look like. And all of these years, we are slightly updating this plan by just moving the dates forward until we release the game. So I'm going to go first to Hargeet on this. Hargeet, this, again, it's a very big interview. I'm not going to read the whole article because the article is pretty lengthy. I will add the article to the show notes if you choose to read it for yourself, and you should give it a read. It's a really good read. This is something. I see you, brothers Grimm, saying that I'm Stevie Wonder. I am not Stevie Wonder driving this damn car. I shouldn't have put up this footage. I'm going to get my balls broken the whole. I feel like Dirk Riggedy. My audience has turned against me because I'm crashing like a lunatic. This is Dirt. I know exactly how you feel, sir. I know exactly how you feel now. and I'm not going to say what he usually says because he likes to curse. I try not to curse, but Hargeet, look, this is the as we start to see more people find and discover Stalker, whether that be on PC, whether that be on Xbox, whether they play through Xbox Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass for PC, or they outright buy the game, every game sold moving forward is profitable for this small developer. I think that them coming out after it was reported by several sites that there was in fact a PlayStation 5 version coming out, and they debunked it immediately. There is no PlayStation 5 plan. They literally said it in the interview that at this time there is no PlayStation 5 version planned. And they're saying that because they are trying to add the additional content that was removed, that was taken out to kind of make the game a little bit smaller so they can get it done quicker. And also, it is going to be a couple of years, I would imagine, because they still have to continue to update what's happening. And again, if you remember, there was an update that had I think it was 1,800 fixes, which was ridiculous to consider. You usually see someone say, hey, studio, whoever, we just added a fix for this reported, thing by the community, and it's 3, it's 4, it's 5 fixes. They put out information where they updated and fixed 1,800 plus things. That's bonkers.
Yeah.
But listen, no PlayStation 5 version. At this point, it's probably going to be a couple of years, I would imagine. PlayStation gamers, if you're waiting for Stalker 2, you just might want to play on PC or at some point get an Xbox. Let's get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have to focus on fixing it up. This has always been a challenging thing for them. I mean, there's so many challenges they've had, right? It's a studio that went through quite a bit of hell, as it were, to get this game done.
Indeed.
So they've got quite a bit to fix up. Fair enough. There were also features that were missing that people were kind of annoyed by. They actually had a lawsuit, if memory serves, about missing some features. So I don't know how that went. Whatever. Hopefully that's all resolved or whatever. But if it's not, then that's something that they contend with. So look, they have to finish up what they need to finish up. That's fine. They need to focus on that. That makes sense. They launched on Xbox. That was their plan. Xbox PC. This is a PC game. Let's just be honest. It heavily resonates PC, right? This is a PC game. They're on the platform they really need to be on. The fact that they're on a console at all is fine. That's great. And, Xbox helped make the game. That's great. So which is why they're on the Xbox platform. So that's fine. And look, if they get to it at some point, they do put it on PlayStation. Awesome. Put it on Switch. That's awesome. For now, if you want to, play it, certainly PC is the place. That is really where their focus is. It is on console on Xbox. If you want to play it there, absolutely play it there. Much cheaper cost of entry for most people if you want to just get a Series S and play. But again, this is if you want to play Stalker. A Stalker is a very unique experience, right? So it's not for everyone, but for those who love it, it really is something they've really yearned for. And this is just it's a great thing for those who wanted it. It's finally out. It's there. There's still some work to be done. But they are working on 1,800 bugs in one shot. That's a lot. It's a lot of things to fix.
It is.
Hopefully it was there was a fix that fixed like 500 of them in one shot or something like that. But if it really is 1,800 separate things, that's pretty crazy. But either way, is this like a major thing? I don't know. Stalker has always been kind of a cult of its own, right? So I don't know how many PlayStation players are yearning for this that aren't already on PC. Like as I said, this is a PC game. This has been a PC game, and PC players have been the ones supporting this. So I don't know how well. Do we have a breakdown of how well it did on Xbox versus PC? But it's great that it's on console. It's great if it comes to other consoles. I don't want to lock it down or anything. Unless Microsoft buys the studio, a fair game that they put it wherever they want to after whatever exclusivity period they have. So I'm not here to lock it down, but the reality is they do have work to do, and they are in a precarious situation, right? Some of their team members are gone, literally just gone. And then, they had to move, and they're doing whatever they can to get this thing out. It's taken time, and it's finally out. It's awesome that it's profitable already. That's great. So good for the studio. Hopefully that helps the people that are there. Hopefully they do something for the families of the unfortunate developers that are no longer with us. That's on them, but hopefully they do something there. But this is it's good news for the GSC. Potentially bad news for those who want to play this on a PlayStation or a Nintendo console. But ultimately, guys, if you really want to play this game, you can obviously get it on an Xbox. But this is very PC. It's very PC. So if you want to play it, that's probably the preferred platform anyway. But either way, like I hope that anybody who wants to play this game has access and they have it through one of those avenues, because I'm sure anybody who's been playing Stalker, it's likely they're playing on a PC and they're happily going to be playing it on PC anyways for Stalker 2. But yeah, I mean, it's a good focus to have, right? They need to fix up whatever they have. It certainly came out a little buggy. It also was lacking key features.
Yeah.
So they need to bring those features out. I like the focus. That's a good thing. It would be nice if it was on other consoles. But on the flip side of this, and Boom, you want to have like the snarky response to PlayStation. Look, it's funny that they don't have it, but like this is what they do to Xbox players all the time, right? They'll lock down games all the time, and with third parties, I'm just not sure that that's such a great idea anymore. In this case, it was funded by Xbox to make the game happen altogether.
Indeed. Yeah.
Fair enough, right? Those kind of things, it's fair enough. I think that was the case of some of the games that PlayStation also locked down, where they, paid to make the game happen. Fair enough. At some point,
that's
though,
business.
Open up.
So
yeah, and that's fine. In the case of this game, though, it is so like a PC game that I don't know how much of a percentage of console players will actually engage with it. Those who do engage with it, it's in Game Pass. Those who do engage with it, it is a very challenging game, right? So
it is.
If you like
not
it,
a game for Boom. I could tell you that
It's-
right now. I have died more times in the first hour of that game, and I'm like, yeah, this is just not for me. It's very, what it is. You said it, Cargeet. It is a very PC game.
Yeah. So look, and kudos to them to get it out. Kudos and congratulations that it's now profitable. That's awesome. And keep working on it. Get the game to be as bug free as possible, and get all the features out. And then if they have time, let's start. They can work on putting it on other platforms. I don't think Microsoft, Xbox, at least in the Phil era, is going to say no. I think he wants games to go as wide as possible.
Yeah.
But look, it starts out as an exclusive. It's probably going to be that probably for a year or two. Just looking at their roadmap of what they need to work on. So fair enough. If you want to play this now, my suggestion is still go to PC. That is where this game is going to shine. If you want to play it on console with a lower price of entry, you certainly can have a Series S or Series X. Enjoy playing it there. There's so many other games and Game Pass, right? So enjoy if you want to. But that is the thing. This game is really intended for PC players. So, but hey, it works on console. Enjoy it. If that's what you want to do, play now. You can do that. If you don't have FOMO, you can wait, and hopefully at some point it does come. They haven't confirmed though that it ever will, right? So just keep that in mind. It may never happen, right? They may just move on and say like this is done, it's in the past, and we move on to the next next project. Or they might say, hey, there's money to be had on the other platforms, and we'll pay somebody else to port it, or we'll spend the time doing it. But there is no confirmation that it ever will happen. But it may happen, and it's a good thing for every developer or third party out there to say, I'm going to take advantage of every platform as much as possible. In the case of these kind of deals, you will have a delay, right? And Stellar Blade was another one where I think Sony actually ended up paying them to make that game happen, right? So they got a little bit of money up front, and things like that happen. It's fine. And then you kind of have this like year, 2, 3 years, whatever, of exclusivity period. And hopefully it comes to the other platforms, right? But so I don't know how long this is going to stay that way, but I do, I appreciate that they're working on fixing the game, giving you all the features they promised to give you. That is much more important, right? Get that done, and then if they have the time, absolutely bring it to other platforms. But nothing on the books right now. So hey, if you really are a Stalker fan, I'm sure you're already playing it on PC because that's where you're probably playing it. But if you wanted to dabble in this, you still can on a Series S or X. Try it out. What the heck, right? So,
Yeah,
hey,
I mean,
that's
listen,
where I
it's
think it is.
I mean, it's a great point. Great points all around, Hargeet. And one of the things that I really have to say that you have to appreciate about something like Game Pass is that it's not loaded with just racers or dude road shooters. It has something like a Stalker 2. Even though Stalker is a first person shooter, it really isn't a first person shooter. It is an open world, tell your own tale and look around every corner. And that's one of the games that you don't have to play. Again, like for me, it's definitely, I thought it was going to be a Boom like game. And then after dying a gazillion times, playing on normal, by the way, I'm like, yeah, I like what's happening, but it's just when you don't have the time to die 175 times in a couple of hours of play, which I don't have. I'll move on to something that if I'm gonna die, at least I'm doing some ranking, which of course that would be Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So it's fine by me. But Fuzzy, let's get your hot take on the fact that we do have confirmation from the developer that there is no PlayStation 5 version in development, and well, like Hargeet said, there may never will be.
Yeah. Hargy nailed it. I think the best potential, if you're one of those PlayStation gamers and you're anxiously waiting for it to come to your console, your best hope is when they actually do the multiplayer. That's one of those things that's on the future roadmap for this game. I think it's a couple of years out. It's definitely going to take them some time. I think they're going kind of the opposite route of Tarkov, even though I think with the Stalker franchise being bit older than Tarkov, but I think the grand scheme of things is much like Argeet said, get this game in a smooth playable state. I mean, for me right now on PC with a NVIDIA card or NVIDIA GPU, it's been fine for me. Haven't had any issues. Are there some bugs or glitches as far as like maybe some graphical things as far as the detail on the wall in like one zone? Yes. But aside from that, I'm pretty sure if I check, it's a couple of days worth of hours put into this game to the point where I think I have one of the best armors. I have the second best armor, or no, the third best armor. Well, for me, it's the best armor right now because of poison and chemical and stuff like that. But I have the exoskeleton armor already. I just don't have the funds or access to the place to be able to upgrade it. But this game is, until Indiana Jones came out, this was my game of the year. It was a much tougher looter shooter than what I might be used to. This is probably the best cross between like if Metro and the Division's, what do you call it? Dark Zone had a baby. Basically, this is like my perfect game for the most part. But for any PlayStation players out there, yeah, like Argy said, your best bet, turn on your PC that you claim you have this expensive gaming rig, or just pick up a Series S or even a Series X because they're going at reasonable prices now, and you could probably trade in your either PS5 or your old PS4 at this point and get at least something off the top to make the transition that much easier. But for me, I'm just glad that this game is I'm glad it exists for the fact that it's taken so much for them to dedicate to this game, as well as losing team members, as well as some of the actors that you did some of the roles in this game. I know one of the main characters that you deal with is no longer with us because, once again, defending this country. But this game has been awesome to me. PlayStation guys, either get that Xbox or get your PC up to par and play it then, or wait a couple of years possibly, because I think the big thing is they're going to see more of a roadmap for at least the next year and getting this game into a picture perfect, although open world you can't ever really have picture perfect, but as close to that as you can. And then I think from there they'll start shifting focus to the multiplayer aspect, where if you've ever wanted to see what Escape from Tarkov would look like on a console, this will probably be the closest thing we'll ever get, because I don't think Escape from Tarkov is ever coming to console. So, and that, rightly so, with that being a very heavy survival PC centric game, this is as close as us console players will ever get to that style of game, unless you want to play Division 1 and constantly play a loop of survival. That'd be about the next closest thing, but that's a much smaller map. No RPG elements, no real, upgrades for armor. You're basically trying to survive the hunters at the end, where you try to extract yourself. No real extraction in this currently, but basically you acquiring artifacts and things along those lines, and basically following the main story path. There's so much to this game, but yeah, I would say for Xbox, it was great for them helping get this game to the finish line. Now it's up to GSC to get everything that, given their chaotic state that they've been in the middle of a war. Hopefully they can get everything, tidied up over this next year or two, and then shift focus over to that multiplayer. Because I'm curious to see how punishing that multiplayer is going to be. Yeah, for those that are into PvP, yeah, it might be great, but then you also have to deal with the environment, and I think this environment will make a much more threatening PvE environment. So for PvPvE, I can't wait for that mode to open up. But for right now, if looter shooters, Metro, and survival are your jam, this is your game. And if you're on PlayStation, you have options. Or the other option being to wait. But like Hargeet said, it might not ever come. Or my best guess is a couple of years out because of the multiplayer. And I think that's when they'll consider it, or probably have that wrapped into the development of the multiplayer. But that's all I got.
No, good stuff from both of you guys. Like I said, this isn't the biggest story of the show. Obviously, the big story is going to be the second half, and obviously, we got to give credit where credit is due. That comes the way of Dirk Riggity's show yesterday, which I thought was phenomenal. And of course, I see you, Abdel114, which is Clute on the socials. He had brought up some good points regarding what is going to be happening next year, and of course, Dirk Riggity made mention of that, especially when you're talking about Gears E-Day. So look, before we get into the second half of the show, and again, it's the second topic, I got to thank a couple of people, a few super chats in here. Well, actually, we have Highlander 001, who has taken time from driving his tank around to drop a very generous $2 super chat and says, Mr. Boomstick went to the Stevie Wonder driver's ed school. Man, I feel like Dirk Riggity when people get on top. I'm not mad, folks. I drive terrible, but it's not because I drive like that in the racing. I'm not racing anybody. I'm just trying to find these blasted boards. So, of course, I'm going to flip my car and do all kinds of ridiculousness. Listen, if I was worried about getting, ridiculed, I wouldn't have the gameplay playing. I don't care. Listen, I'm a terrible driver. But no, I don't drive like this in real life. So there you go. My insurance is very low. I try to keep it low. And Spartan 661, the generosity continues with this gentleman. He has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. That is crazy generous of you. Thank you, Spartan. Super appreciate you being here, and thank you for the generosity. But look, again, the next story really does happen because I had written a totally different show. There were a couple other things I wanted to talk about, which I think me and Fuzzy will cover on Monday. They're a little smaller. They're all Xbox related. And I think we can break them down in an hour and 10 minutes and give you guys and gals a good show. So I'm writing that Monday show as we speak. But like I said, I was listening to Dirk Riggity's show from last night, where he's in front of the microphone, he's doing his thing, and he's just talking it up. And I really, because this is the last Breakfast with Boom for the year, technically, because obviously the next one is going to be into the new year. I do want to kind of just focus, Hargeet, on 2025. Now, look, again, we don't have to talk about Sony and we don't got to talk about Nintendo. Nintendo's going to come out with their Switch 2, and you've heard, same as I did, Hargeet, that they might have 4 super bangers of their own first party, and that's a very Nintendo thing. Sony, they have Ghost of Yotai, which I know a lot of people aren't excited for. That's few. I'm super stoked for that game. And Death Stranding 2, look, if it was going to be a 5-year hiatus from launch, then I buy it on the PS5. I'm now going to wait because Kojima has come out and said that he wants to put that brand on everything, and we know that it's coming at some point. And being that next year is going to be a massive year for games, I'm going to pass on Death Stranding 2 on the PlayStation 5 because I'll be willing to wait for the Xbox version. But Xbox, man, I got to tell you, depending on who you talk to, Hargeet, some people will try to sell you on Xbox had a bad 2023, right? Which I think that's ridiculous if you even suggest that, because all you gotta do is look at what's success came the way of Starfield, and that game got unnecessary hate. If it was just that one game, I think it's still a W. But they had way more than just one game in 2023. And you go into 2024, and sure, it started out a little slow. There's no doubt about it. And something that we've all criticized Xbox that they have to figure out. They have to figure out this mythical cadence of, giving games all year long instead of trying to put one or two during the year and then onslaught us at the end of the year, because then there's no time to play them. And more importantly, no time to appreciate them. So there are going to be some people that be like, oh yeah, 2024, not a good year for Xbox. Well, I mean, I guess if you don't like games, maybe it wasn't good for you. I don't know. I don't really actually know what to tell you, because I've been playing Xbox first party stuff all year and I've quite enjoyed it. But 2025 seems to be almost an embarrassment of riches. Like, again, if it's 75% of what I'm going to read, you have won. And if you talk about price versus what you're paying for the, again, price of admission for games, if you're buying them versus you're paying your $20 a month, and we all know we don't pay $20 a month. I mean, like, when was the last time anybody paid full price? I don't pay full price. I haven't paid full price in years. I go to plenty of places where you can go to and get it for under $10 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. If you're a good shopper, you know where to look. So, talking and watching Dirk Riggity's show, and of course, I will link his show in the show notes, so you can definitely give it a watch. Phenomenal stuff as always. Hargeet, again, this is a potential release list for Xbox. Is it likely? No. But is it possible? Well, that's where we're going to have this conversation. So, what we know, Hargeet, that has already been announced is Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, and Fable. Those have officially been
And Outer
announced
Worlds 2.
And oh my God, Outer Worlds 2. Thank you, sir, for the correction. So Outer Worlds 2 for those 5 games we already know are
Very,
releasing.
very likely Call of Duty.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty, but I'm just saying that what has been announced. I'm trying to be fair here. So yes, Call of Duty is rumored to be the sequel to Black Ops 2. Another Black Ops game? Yes, sign me up, please. In Xbox Game Pass with Xbox marketing? Yes, please. But where this list seems to go off the deep end with craziness is the fact that there is a rumor that an Oblivion remake done from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5 is potentially releasing sometime next year. We don't have a month, we don't have a date, but that's the rumor. Now, Clockwork Revolution is something that I have personally been pushing the envelope on because of what we saw a couple of years ago, and the fact that In Exile, with their marketing, especially on the socials, continues to talk about the game, continues to, do funny skits about the game. I don't know if it's happening next year. The game looked really far into it being a game when they showed it off. So maybe that's next year. But where it kind of really does, again, this is you already have this beautiful banana boat sundae with your every fixing you could possibly have. This would be, Hargeet, the cherry on top, and that would be Gears of War E-Day. Now, why do I even bother bringing that up? Well, Gears of War E-Day is something that Tom Warren mentioned right after the June event. And he said that he has heard that that game was looking to be released in 2025. Now, I closed it out like just a complete knucklehead. So I have to find his actual quote. So give me a second. But Hargeet, I'm going to hand the mic over to you because this list for 2025 seems to be just unbelievable. Like I said before, if they somehow squeak out 75% of the list that I read, it is a giant W for anyone that is an Xbox. Let's get your thoughts on this while I find Tom Warren's actual quote.
Look, it's a good thing for gamers in general, right? Like if we just take away the whole platform wars, whateverness, it doesn't matter. If you're a gamer, these are a bunch of games that are coming out. And, if you play on PC, you play on Xbox, you're getting them. Several of those are coming to other platforms as well. So, whatever, for those, players who want to play, it's a great year. On top of the things you mentioned earlier, Nintendo, right? Nintendo's coming. And they will be launching a new console. And it looks like we're going to get the announcement early next month. So we're going to see some stuff there. But yeah, as far as the games, this is Xbox's norm now because they just have so many studios. You're just going to see this year after year. I don't want them to release Gears because I just don't want them to go crazy like this. Look, as it is, me and my position on Indie coming out in December, I think that was absolute fail. They should have put that out in November so that it could have been part of BAFTAs, could have been part of TGAs, right? It missed all of that because
it would have ran the gambit. It would have
at least gotten nominated for stuff, and it should have been because it is a fantastic game. Hip Hop Gamer was going off like, dude, Jeff, you got to do something about this. This is his game of the year, right? Like there are a lot of people in the media who love that game. That unfortunately did not go the way it should. That's what I don't want them to do, right? Release the games on a good cadence, put them out in the right time of the year. If you're gonna have another game like Gears come out while you have all these other games coming out, like, dude, slow down a bit. We already have a lot of good games coming out, right? And it's better for them to take that, put it out in March of next year, the 2026, if they're ready, right? And this is unfortunately where they are now. They can keep games in their pocket because they just have to figure out a release cadence that allows them to put the game out and not conflict with their games and partner games. There is still the potential that GTA 6 comes out next year, which is it's one of those big games.
Get out of its way.
Eat up, right? It'll eat up the industry. That's just the way it is. We all know it. So they don't want to be messing with that either, right? Call of Duty is one of those games that can sort of hold its own. So fair enough. But outside of that, good luck, right? It's not like you want to release your game and then get overshadowed by that. So they need to steer clear of that. So if that is happening, we don't know if it is or isn't, but that is the plan. That's what Take-Two says, right? That's what it's coming out in 2025. So that is the plan. But we haven't seen the ramp up of marketing, which leads me to think maybe it isn't happening in 2025, but we will see. If that starts happening in early next year, yeah, it's probably coming out in 2025. It would be bonkers to put that out as well, because as it is, I was shocked with the clock, the Outer Worlds 2 out of nowhere. Like, hey, we're releasing that in 2025. Okay, right? We still have things like Towerborn, Contraband, all those other games that they've been working on with second party deals, right? Those could be coming as well. We already know Towerborn is likely to be coming out, right? It's already on early access in Steam. It did its little preview thing on Xbox a while back. It should be ready to go, right? Sometime early next year, it should be ready to go. So we should be seeing that happening. I don't think they should just go crazy. A lot of people want them to, right? To sort of make up for all those years that we didn't have games. No, because then I don't want the same thing to happen the next year where there's no games. Like, no. If you have E-Day ready to go and it's ready for September, October, but you've already got this slate of all these games, then hold it off or take one of the other games and hold it off. Because I don't want them to go crazy. As it is, you're saying you're going to get Oblivion Remake. That's a massive RPG. You're getting Avowed. That's a massive RPG. You're getting Outer Worlds 2, another RPG. Like, how many do you want in a year, right? And like, if you go with E-Day as well as South of Midnight and Call of Duty and Fable and Doom, like, come on, how much do you want in a year, right? It's too much. I think they need to slow it down a bit and like put that game up. That's my opinion, right? I know a lot of people will want to just give me the game, but dude, my backlog is so bad right now. I don't know how I would be able to play all that, and I want to give them the time, right? Thankfully, I skipped a lot of other things and played indie, and what a fantastic game, right? Now, if it was like, dude, I can't because all these other games, like, I don't want to do that. Like Fable, I want to play that. Day one, I want to play Fable, right? And if they keep giving me too many games, like, that's going to be the problem, right? So, because Gears is not something I want to skip either, right? Because that's a big game. But this is where we are, right? So to me, I don't think they should put it up. But if they're ready, keep it ready to go early in 2026. Throw it out, right? That would be your next thing. Remember, they still have Perfect Dark, Everwild. They still have State of Decay 3. They still have Clockwork, as you mentioned. On and on, right? There's so much more, right? There's still so much more, and we have that Halo game in the works, right? So we already know that's happening. Right. So there's just so much, available for their back. And then there's other stuff that we don't know about that's in the works. There's stuff that at Bethesda we don't know about, right? Because there's the team that's working on a multiplayer game that we don't know about yet, right? There's still stuff going on, right? So it's a crazy roadmap. But this is like what I've been saying, right? Like, their June showcase will always be this every year now because they just have that many studios. You're just going to see that many games, and they're going to have that like Nintendo like 8-ish games coming out every year, some small, but lots of big ones. And Nintendo does this every year. They'll have 4 like big games and then a whole bunch of smaller games, 8 to 10 average, right? It's just crazy what they do. That's how they sustain. And this is where Xbox, and the whole thing about like all the doom and gloom of, Xbox is dying. They don't need anybody else. Their platform sustains because they have so many first-party games. And Game Pass is a driver of it. Not to mention, if you like any of those games, you'd want to be on the platform where they come out first anyway, right? So this has been the thing, right? That like the key to solving that problem was always more content. More content. It eliminates the problem of like, will third parties come? Who cares? My first party catalog is insanity. So that's been the thing, right? And so the third parties will just come along because they'll want to be where the enthusiasm is, right? The flip side of that is where Sony's roadmap is for now. Hopefully that fixes itself. But for now, the 2 big games they've announced, well, 3, I guess, is fair games. Marathon is a multi-plat, right? Everybody's going to get that. But fair games, which I don't know when that comes out. And then they have Intergalactic, which has been met with a lot of unfortunate, controversy. And the same with Ghost of Yotai, which also was met with a little bit of controversy, which is sad for them, right? It is what it is. That is where PlayStation is right now. They have to kind of contend with that. And they're not, I guess they don't have the shield of Game Pass to handle those kind of issues, right? Because if they don't sell those games, they're in trouble. So it's unfortunately where it is for them, right? So we will see how that goes. The roadmap is so insane here. It's crazy. I don't even know how to, like, we're not even talking about the big third-party games that are coming out this year. There's so much coming out. It's gonna be insane, right? Even on PlayStation side, look, all those third-party games are coming to you, right? You're gonna have games to play, guys. It's gonna be awesome. And then you still have those like Ghost of Yotai, potentially like Death Stranding 2. I don't know if Death Stranding 2 is, by the way, going to be locked down. It may not be. The purchase back of the IP just puts it in a weird state. So I don't know if they're gonna say, it's gonna be PC plus PlayStation or PC plus PlayStation, Switch, and Xbox. I don't know what's going to happen, right? But I don't think that exclusivity thing is going to be there for very long, if there is any, because it seems like, Kojima wanted to buy it back for a reason and say, no, I want to publish this everywhere. And like the last time you did this, it kind of hampered my multiplayer thingy that he wanted to do, right? The weird, like, you can help people remotely.
It is the greatest multiplayer game that's not a multiplayer game. It's
right. So
phenomenal.
it's like, So in trying to make that better for himself, I think he wants to. And by the way, I would expect OD to be in that same category, that he's going to want
Oh
to
my
have that
God, I
everywhere.
forgot about that.
I'm just
Yes.
gonna say that that's a potential, and I don't know when that comes out. By the way, is that 25, 26? I don't know, right? But it's gonna be happening soon enough. If Death Stranding 2 is this year, 25, sorry, then 26 is likely OD, right?
Yeah.
Just put that in perspective as well, right? So we have that coming as well.
And Blade.
There's
There's also
so
Blade.
much
There's
Blade. Elder Scrolls 6 is on the horizon, right? So
you got the next Wolfenstein, which they just confirmed that they split the teams. So there's an indie team. Indie's getting a trilogy. Yeah,
plenty of stuff going on, right? It is a crazy backlog of stuff, or future roadmap of stuff that's just going to keep adding to your backlog.
it's just
and
too
if you're a
many
Game Pass
games.
subscriber, it's gonna be insane. But either way, even if you're not a Game Pass subscriber, there's plenty of games. It's gonna be awesome. Enjoy it. I can't wait for the Nintendo announce. I want to see what they're bringing. That hardware is going to be hopefully pretty good, and then on top of that, the games, and see what they look like. I can't wait for that along with it, right? So plenty of excitement, guys. Lots of good stuff happening. Oh, by the way, at the beginning of the year, we're getting brand new NVIDIA graphics cards that should hopefully drive some more interesting, graphical capabilities. We will see what that brings to the table as well, right? So there's all sorts of stuff going on. Oh, and by the way, at CES, we have the handheld announcements coming. And
Jason Reynolds is going to be
talking
there.
about.
Yeah.
And then on with GDC and all that stuff. There's plenty of fun that's going to be happening.
And on top of all of that, I mean, this is a smorgasbord, ladies and gentlemen. Fuzzy, we're going to get you in a second, because obviously I'm so glad that he laid down this ridiculousness of what Xbox is going to be next year. You got the rumor, Hargeet, that third week in of January is a developer direct. This is before Avowed starts off this onslaught of gaming in February. It is going to be ridiculous.
There might be others. So Sniper Elite, remember, it's in January. Sniper Elite is going to be in Game Pass.
Game Pass,
right? It's a multiplayer game, but multi-platform game. Sorry, but it is in Game Pass. So we get a game in January, and we don't know if they don't just drop something at the developer direct, right? There might be something that just drops that we already know about, but it's like, hey, it's ready to go. Boom, here you go.
Boom, there you go. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Right? Towerborn, here you go. Right?
Yeah. Which Towerborn, again, maybe it's not a lot of people's thing. I like side-scrolling hack and slash, but I'm playing 2 right now. I'm playing G.I. Joe and Power Rangers, which, by the way, please go buy those games. They are freaking amazing if you are an OG. If you are a graybeard, and we got a lot of you old folks in here like me, because I'm a geezer. There's no doubt about it. If you like side-scrolling beat-em-ups from the arcade days, where you used to drop $10 in a day playing Turtles or X-Men or Simpsons, if you like those type of games, go buy G.I. Joe, Wrath of Cobra, and go buy the new Power Rangers. Oh my God, they are so freaking good if you like that kind of stuff. But Fuzz Belvedere, Hargeet has laid down this incredible path for you to walk. It is, if you are an Xbox fan, I don't understand how you can't be excited. And again, I get it. There's a lot of people still leading with emotion that feel a type of way about this third-party strategy. We're not going to go into that, because we're here to talk positively. And I get it. I'm an OG. I understand it. But it's really hard for me as an Xbox fan not to look at 2025 and be like, that's just ridiculous. Like, there is literally so many games from first party where we're not even talking about the third party. We're not even talking about the second party or the indies. Just looking at the list of games that we already know seems to be unbelievable. I want to get your hot takes on this, because, again, there is a lot of excitement. I don't understand how you can't be excited, and I can understand if you are overly excited, because in my mind, I don't know when I'm going to have the time to play these games. There's just too many of them. And if you are someone like me and Infinite Umbra, who likes these big open world RPGs that you look at around every corner, like Indiana Jones, I beat after 50 hours. I think it was like 51 and a half hours I beat it. And I almost felt guilty beating it because I really missed a lot of the things I want to go back and I want to do. And that's because that's the kind of gamer I am. But you have Avowed, you have The Outer Worlds 2, you
Mhm.
have Fable, you probably are going to have Oblivion. That's a remake, not a remaster. Literally, the rumors they went from the ground up Unreal Engine 5 that those are 4 massive RPGs. I mean, that's just crazy. I want to get your thoughts on how insane Xbox gamers are going to have in 2025.
Well, like I was saying before on other podcasts, where clear that backlog because 2025 is going to, we're not ready. We're not going to be ready for 2025. If you factor in third party, yeah, it is ridiculous. But just looking at first party alone, there's the knowns and then there's the unknown knowns where there's games that could make it in that cut, but we don't know. And some of them are starting to, be talked about. Like what was it? A couple of days ago, we got some post from Rare that wasn't Sea of Thieves related. So is
Yes.
Everwild closer than we think? We know that Jez and a few others that said things that, it's in a good state. They have it figured out as far as what the gameplay loop is about and stuff like that. So does that make the cut for next year? Clockwork Revolution is that one that also makes the cut next year. It seems like In Exile is closer than a few years out. And it's funny how even Obsidian made it seem like, Outer Worlds 2 was a few years out, but here it is. It's going to be in 2025. Now, granted, Avowed was pushed out of 2024. So they got 2 games that will probably bookend the year. Avowed being probably one of their first releases as far as first party, unless we get a stealth drop kind of deal at the showcase or at the Dev Direct. And then they'll more than likely finish out the year with Outer Worlds 2. Or maybe Outer Worlds 2 is before the June showcase and we get hit with 3 to 6 other games that are going to be finishing out the year. Like, that's the thing that's ridiculous about Xbox right now, is that we know that there's at least 5 titles that are pretty much confirmed or close to being confirmed for 25. Like Fable's on that list, Avowed's on that list. As of recently, what is it? Outer Worlds 2 is on that list. Doom is on that list. And I'm having a million for right now.
South of Midnight.
Fable,
yeah.
South of Midnight.
Yeah, South of Midnight is another one. So, and that could possibly be stealth dropped at the Dev Direct. But then you have the standalones that are like almost an annual guarantee with like Call of Duty. And you have the additional or continued support that they're going to have for their ongoing games. Like I know I really want a Forza Horizon 6, hopefully in Japan, although rumors are saying Germany, but I don't think that's accurate, but we'll see.
I hope it's Japan.
But even with Forza Horizon 5, they're still doing updates on that where it's every month you get a new set of cars. Every month they have a car pack. Every week they have new seasons and new events and things like that. So you have that. Now, I don't envy Matt Booty at all at this point, because before we probably gave him some smoke about, what to do with this, list of games with first party. And everybody was like, it's 2022. Where are the games? Even though there were games there, it was just that it wasn't the first party games that people were looking for. Not everybody's into the RTS range, or even their Microsoft publishing with I forget the one like art style or cell shade game that came out that year, something Dusk or something like that, as Dusk Falls. That was another one that was their publishing, but still counts for that year. But Matt Booty said that, and everybody wanted to, jump down his throat about, well, you need to get on it as far as these games. Well, he has to also figure out for 2026 if the potential rumor is correct as far as their new, next gen console. What kind of lineup are we going to have for that? Like, is he going to save E-Day for that? The Halo game more than likely will be saved for that launch of the next generation console. Does Forza Horizon 6 get saved for that next generation console? Elder Scrolls 6 is another one that's, a little bit further out. Does that get saved for the next gen console? But like Perfect Dark, I think is closer than we may think, although I don't think it lands this year, but could very well land next year. We haven't heard anything recently from Double Fine, where Double Fine.
Holy crap, dude! I forgot about them.
we heard a rumor of a game that they were doing like as like a side project early on. Was it like a clay pot or something
Kiln.
like that?
Clay pot
Or Kiln?
fighter of some sort. Kiln.
And then
yeah. Mhm.
we know Jack Black was working with them on another title after they finished up Psychonauts 2. So do we get another I forget what that would be.
I think we'll
Brutal
see
Legend.
them in the showcase.
Brutal Legend 2. Holy
I think we'll see them
moly.
in the showcase, right? I think they're about. They should be ready to show something.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then like State of Decay 3, I think once again, I think that's a launch title possibly for the next gen console, maybe 2026 or 2027. Blade winds up possibly being that next gen launch title or like the following year kind of thing. But like Hargi had talked about briefly with the Bethesda online team that's working on a multiplayer game. I kind of think it might be something Starfield related. Like imagine like a Starfield open world MMO kind of thing where that would be Star Citizen for console basically at that point. But it could be something totally different. Like some rumors on the inside have been that it's not, or it's a new IP altogether. So that would rule out Starfield. But then again, we know that there's going to be Starfield DLC, additional DLC like Starborn is potentially one of those that we might see in the upcoming year or this next year. But, with Bethesda Online working on something, and they're still supporting Fallout 76, which is having its own resurgence.
Yep.
And then we don't know what the other project that Obsidian is working on outside of, Avowed and Outer Worlds. Is it a like Fallout New Vegas 2 like type game or like a Fallout universe game, or is it their original Stormlands that they pitched as a launch title for the Xbox One? Tech is there now that they could actually carry that out. Does that make an appearance? But like, there's just so much considering how many studios was it? 30 plus studios. With each studio probably having at least 2 teams, if not more. Like we're hearing Machine Games has 2 teams.
They split their teams. There's actual an indie team and a team for Wolfenstein. Yeah.
So it's like it's unbelievable how packed this year is going to be, and considering the third-party deals that are going day and date with Game Pass, like Replace is more likely going to make an appearance next year. Does Hollow Knight or Silksong make an appearance? Don't know, but it would be nice to see that maybe later in the year, like post September-ish range or something along those lines. But there's just so much. I mean, Contraband, I know we're hearing some things in the background as far as that it was perfectly playable. One of the team members might be moving away from that.
Yeah,
you know what?
That's one of the stories that we're going to talk about on Friday, because I'm waiting for some additional context from the same contact that gave me the Indiana Jones signed trilogy info. So I'm waiting on that. I'm hoping to have that information by Monday, which to kind of give an update to some more stuff we heard earlier in the year. Yeah,
and we know that they were partnered with IO Interactive. Now the people
on the James Bond thing.
Well, there was another one that they were supposedly doing. It was like Project Dragon.
Yeah,
that was like a high fantasy type open world type of game or something like that they were working on. The People May Fly. Although I think that project may have been adjusted or changed. Although it seemed like they were adjusting the ones that they were going to self-publish more so than partnered ones that they had. Right. And then there was just so many teams that they had partnered with for additional projects. We still haven't seen the what was it, the Wu-Tang game? That's
holy crap! I forgot about that. It's also to add some context to what you're saying. There's still the rumor, and I'm going to die on this hill, folks, of the Gears of War trilogy remake. So, I mean, again, is that happening? I mean, I'm still going to hope that. The hopium for me is that needs to happen, because I want to see what that thing looks like with all the bells and whistles running in remade from the ground up. And that's what we're hearing. That was the rumor.
Yeah.
That's another one.
And that's just all the things that I can remember off the top of my head. There's probably about 20 other like projects or partnered games that they have that escapes me right now, but a good bit of those could still land in 2025. Like,
Yep.
I think Microsoft, even though it's one of those things where, yeah, it would probably be best to kind of hold some things back and just fill out the year, but don't go crazy. But I still think we wind up seeing 10 to 12 games from first party next year. Now, I don't expect all of them to be AAA, big expansions and things along those lines, but I do expect maybe some smaller things drop in there. Like, do we see Project Mara at some point, next year? Do we see, some of the other projects that some of the other teams have been working on during this time period? Do we even hear about like the one team, was it Elsewhere, I think, which is that new Activision team?
Yes.
What they're working on. Do we see the was it StarCraft, Project Ghost, or something like that?
What about Killer
that
Instinct 2? Do we see that next year?
Yeah, and that's one of those partner games that I really think that we do get to see a Killer Instinct 2 sooner rather than later. Although they could very well save that for the launch of the next gen. So, and like Hargy touched on earlier, as far as the hardware, not just like the NVIDIA cards and things like that, and with CES having Legion, with also having like the rep from Steam as well as Jason Ronald from Xbox being there. So we might see software on these handhelds that will allow you to play your console and PC games on one device. That's one of the things I'm hoping leading up to them doing like a handheld themselves. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy year. And this is just the Xbox stuff, the third party, full on multi-plat third party stuff, like your GTA 6s, like your the Assassin's Creed game, like Kingdom Come Deliverance, I forget the other game that was like from the BioShock guy, and then you got the other team that's like ex-BioWare devs that, Judas. You have the BioWare dev that's doing like another space game. It's not Everspace, but there's going to be too many games. Like 2023 was a great year for gaming. 2024 was an even better year, in my opinion, for gaming. I think 2025 is going to make both years look like a dust bowl, in all honesty, when it's all said and done. Not just from Xbox, but all the publishers, except for maybe PlayStation. I'm not worried, but I am somewhat disappointed to some extent. But I am looking forward to Ghost of Yotai. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Ghost of Tsushima was one of my favorites.
Amazing, yes.
So I can't wait to get the chance to play that. I don't know if Intergalactic is anywhere recent or new, or
I doubt that.
Like,
I think that's
probably
years.
three years.
They do have other third-party lockdowns, like PlayStation side. They do have other third-party lockdowns, right? So they probably have like another 8 or so, 7, whatever games that are exclusive.
Yeah. There was something Whisperings or something like that. It's almost like a it's made by a mobile developer, but it's one of those that there was an Xbox version, and then they're kind of like, well, it won't be at launch or something along those lines, but it was like Blade Zero or Whispering Zero or something along those lines.
Phantom Blade Zero.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Everything else seems to be like multi-plat on that end, but overall, I'm looking forward to what Xbox is going to have to offer for next year. It's going to be a pretty packed year. Like I said before, clear your backlog, try to make as much room as possible, because I think there's going to be the option, especially if you're a Game Pass subscriber, of at least 2 probably well sought after games per month, not just from first party, but from between third party and first party every month from here on out, with probably a dozen or more indie games or even smaller games that you're going to want to try out. So clear that backlog and clear it quick.
Well, El Rey Tito, welcome, brother. Nice to see you here. He says, don't forget about Replaced. Replaced is another one. I mean, that's definitely dropping next year for sure. I pulled a story from 2021 where you guys were talking. This came the way of Game Rant, and they were reporting on something that Special Nick said. Now, Nick, obviously, huge part of Xbox era. One of my favorite places to get news. him, Jesse, and John, they're just all amazing creators. He had dropped a rumor that the sequel to Rise Son of Rome was in development, right? That's something else that you got to take into maybe that's a launch title in 2026 along with Killer Instinct 2. Like, could you imagine if they go back to the well of what they launched in 2013 and now we're getting 2026 launches? That would be just bonkers. But look, at the end of the day, this has been a great conversation. Second half, of course, one of my favorites because we're talking Xbox, and Xbox next year seems to be on a path of complete madness. If you are a gamer, if you are an Xbox gamer, if you are an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you are going to be eating good in the neighborhood. So before we get to the outros, let me just catch up on these last two super chats here. First of all, thank you everyone who consistently donates to the channel. Mrs. Boom and I are incredibly grateful for it. And again, it does allow for us to do the big giveaways. And, when we get into next year, we'll start planning on what 2025 is going to be for the big giveaways. Because again, we obviously got to collect the monies, put them away. And then that's when we start midway through, figuring out exactly what we're going to be able to afford and what we're going to be able to do in regards to the big giveaways. We have Creative Monster drops a very generous $5 super chat. It's what he says that is really, really kind. He says, one of the best podcasts ever. Thanks for all you do, Boom and company. Happy holidays. Wish me luck. I got to go do Xmas with the Weiss family. Well, listen, you're a gentleman. I'm sure it's going to be okay. Good luck to that. Hopefully it's just laughs, right? You guys are just eating, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. Thank you so much, Creative Monster, for the generosity and consistently being here. Tim the Sorcerer, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding £2 super chat and says, happy gaming weekend. Everything on Xbox in 2025. Yeah, indeed, for sure. We also have Nightwolf 3186, who just dropped a very generous $5 super chat and says, Boom is the man. Thank you so much for the kind words. Hit the like button and sub to the channel. Yeah, we've actually done pretty insane numbers the last couple of days. The last three videos that I did have already surpassed 11K between the three of them. That's a lot for, just cutting down the video. I dropped one today regarding some of the stuff that's happening at CES 2025. We got some Mav and I got some GDC talk into the conversation as well. So definitely go check that video out. And of course, I'll be breaking down this show to kind of give people a little bit more room to breathe when we do these shows. I cut them down. I cut out all the the talk in between to try and make it more digestible, especially if you run a busy life. But that's going to do it for us here on this Friday morning. Fuzzy and I will be back Monday morning. We got a couple of conversations we're going to have about Rare. We have a few other conversations about, again, I'm holding off on the conversation about Contraband. I'm waiting for some context on that report that the art director has left the project after 6 years. And from what we understand, it's because his work is done, not because he's fed up or he's quitting. But I'm waiting for context on that game. It is still happening from what I understand. And we'll be talking about that on Monday afternoon. But Hargeet, brother, thank you so much for joining us here today. We appreciate all the context and, of course, the high praise opinions about what Xbox is going to be doing in 2025. Please sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can not only subscribe to your YouTube channel, but more importantly, find you on other YouTube channels and not find you on social media, because guess what? He's smart. He doesn't do social media. Good for you. But you can find him on Xbox and you can find him on Discord. Plus, folks, if you didn't know, he wrote a book and he published a book in 2024 called Emergence. I bought it. I started reading it. It's really good. You should check it out. Hargeet, tell the brand, brother.
Yeah, so if you want to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, it's HargeetJohnny1. As Boom mentioned, I did write a book, Emergence. It's a kind of a sci-fi novel based kind of on a Mass Effect-y story. So check that out if you want to. Shop.shiny.us. It'll point you over to Barnes & Noble and Amazon and all that stuff if you want to pick it up there and pick up merch like the shirts or whatever. And then, I'll be on with C Money and Doodle tonight, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. On Point for Gamers for the night shift. And we are skipping our normal GameStop Live for Saturday just because of the holidays. So we're not doing the GameStop Live tomorrow. Web Dave will be doing the show, so I'll be on that on Sunday, 7 p.m.
Nice.
US Eastern Time. So check that out on Web Dave's channel. And Primetime Gaming again is not happening next week because it's New Year's. So
Yes,
we will be
yes.
off. Everybody enjoy that. Happy New Year to everybody. So enjoy that. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas and whatever other holidays you still celebrate. But yeah, Happy New Year. We'll catch up sometime next year.
Next year, indeed. Well, Hargeet, thanks so much for joining us, brother. It's great to have you here to get your hot take, especially on the year that Xbox is going to have. Like I said, no console war shenanigans here. I think when you look at what has already been depicted as the roadmap for these three bigs, the one that's leading the charge is Xbox. Again, I take nothing away from Nintendo. They have a new console coming out, and we've seen some leaked images. It looks pretty dope. I'm expecting a couple of really big releases with this. I expect a new Mario for sure.
Starts crazy, right? Like the beginning of next year already is looking crazy.
It's just bonkers. And like I said, even though it appears that PlayStation is going to be light in regards to first party, I'm sure that they have a couple of games that you're going to want to play that are locked up as console exclusives. And like I said, I know that a lot of people are down on Ghost of Yotai. If you are, I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm super stoked for that game. And in regards to
Primetime Gaming, when we come back, Boom, will be after the Jason Ronald thing. It'll be after. It'll probably be right around the announce of the Switch 2.
Yes.
So that probably will happen right before.
Yep.
And what else? There's something
and there's
else
a possible announcement coming potentially for the third week into the year regarding the developer direct for Xbox. So we're going to be
a lot of stuff. When we come back, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
It's going to be crazy.
Very exciting to be a gamer.
NVIDIA. That's the other one. That will
one.
probably be announced by then. The 5090,
50
5080 should be announced by then.
5090, which is going to be rumored to be $3,000. Holy crapola. My God. Good luck if you can afford that. Awesome. But Hargeet, thanks again for being here, brother. Appreciate it. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell your brand, but not just your brand. Obviously, he's a good racer and he's a good driver, so he's not going to drive like I've been driving the first half of the show, and I deserve to get my balls broken putting that kind of gameplay out there where I'm flipping on rocks. Nobody wants to see that, but you know what? It's fine because I know what I was doing. But thank you for everyone who made a comment about my horrible driving. It's all fun and games until someone drives blindfolded, and that's how it looks. But Fuzzy Belvedere, you have a YouTube channel that is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. So, of course, if you like real racing and real driving, check him out. But the missus also has an amazing horror podcast happening Friday evenings called Fright Night with Ferocious Fee, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when it's not a holiday. Brother, sell the brand for both shows where they can subscribe, but more importantly, follow both of you on social media.
As always, thank you for having me on. This was awesome. Always awesome being also on the podcast with Hargeet. Love his takes. Love just hearing his viewpoint on the industry and gaming in general. And same with you, Boom. Just love talking about this hobby we all enjoy. Thanks everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys checking us out and hanging with us for this time. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate it. And like Boom said, you can find me on pretty much social media and YouTube. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You'll be able to find my YouTube channel. But also later on tonight, 6 p.m. tonight, we're going to have a episode of Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. It's just going to be me and Fee, or me and my wife, talking about the movie Smile 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but we'll get to hear Fee's take on it as well. I'll put the link in the chat for it. Once again, 6 p.m. tonight, or just do a search for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee, F-I for Fiona, in YouTube, and you'll be able to find us. But hey, clear that backlog, like I said. Enjoy gaming. Look forward to 2025. Be prepared. Even if GTA 6 doesn't make the cut, it's going to be a loaded year no matter what. But thanks for joining us, and have a good weekend, people.
Yes, indeed. Have a great weekend playing whatever whatever console you like playing, whatever games you like playing. But if I may make a suggestion, if you're a graybeard, if you're an OG, please go check out G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra. It's dope. And more importantly, a stealth drop of the Power Rangers side-scrolling beating 'em up. It really is so unique because not only does it have the side-scrolling missions, if you remember back in the days when you used to play Contra and they had that where you used to drive the bikes, well, there's a part in the game where you're on top riding the Zords, and it's dope. But they take it even to another level where when you transform into one of the big robots, you are actually fighting in first person. Like, it's insane what they did with that game. So if you like the Power Rangers, you definitely got to get it. It's $35. It's worth every penny. But that's going to do it for us here. Thank you so much for spending your Friday morning with us. Have an amazing weekend. Obviously, we got a couple more shows before the end of the year. There will be a new show on Monday. There will be a new show on Tuesday. And the next time we will reconvene will probably be on Thursday and Friday. But I'm going to hold off to see if we can actually have anything to talk about. We'll see. But Monday and Tuesday, they will be shows. And so thank you for everyone that has already tuned in, has already subscribed. And of course, thank you so much for all of the super chats that continuously come in. We do greatly appreciate them. For Fuzzy Belvedere, for Hargeet Chani, and for myself, we want to wish you a great weekend and close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.